Early December is a sacred time in Pensacola, Florida, marking a pilgrimage of racing drivers to Five Flags Speedway in search of trophies. On iRacing, sim racers want to chase their own trophies and do it like the real guys do, and so we're emulating that pilgrimage to Pensacola this weekend. Tonight marks day one of the Sunshine Derby in 2024, and it's a pleasure to be here. Welcome to the virtual Pensacola, Florida, and welcome to Pit Stop TV. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the Sunshine Derby. Tonight's coverage from Five Flags is brought to you by Club Racing Incorporated, Damn It Racing Videos, Caden Tufts Designs, AC Athletics, MTM Fabrication, and Good Acre Photography. Welcome to the virtual Five Flags Speedway. It is well, as I've said twice now, pleasure to be here. It's going to be a good time this weekend. We are set for 3 nights of racing. We've got street stocks on tap first up, then some super late model qualifying, then we roll in, and that's just on tonight's card. Then tomorrow we roll into the late model stock portion with some super late model last chance racing, and then on Sunday, of course, we have the big event. Here you have a look at the Five Flags Speedway track map. Opened in 1953, it's been the annual home of the Snowball Derby for many, many years, going on 58 years next year. Of course, we don't have point standings or a schedule or anything else to look at this evening. It's a quiet night in that regard, just the racing really on hand to go over, and we'll be doing so this evening in about 3, 2, 1 moments. We have got cars hitting the racetrack for qualifying. We'll get straight down to it. Trevor Vaden going to be hitting the racetrack first up, and it looks like we're going to have about 11 cars for our street stock feature this evening. And if we turn the cars up, there we go, we'll have some volume from the racetrack. Now, I have to set the record straight on something for our ticker this evening, at least for the street stock portion and maybe for the super late model qualifying portion. The ticker is going to show just first initial and car number. There was not quite a glitch, but a mishap with the setup of the session, and league owner does know about it, is going to work on it during this race and have it hopefully fixed for us for the super late model qualifying. But I will at least do my best here with Trevor Vaden on the racetrack from BRNZ Performance. He goes 5th so far. Riley Duncan on track is fastest so far, the B&M Motorsports 97. We've got a spotter in the field. We don't know who. We just know a spotter for the 97 car, and he has gone 2nd quick so far. Kenny Troughton will go 3rd quick. And look to pick up a little bit there on lap number 2, and goes no faster. It was actually lap 3. Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp on the racetrack from Elite Performance Industries will go slower there on lap 3. James Daring on lap 3. Going to be much quicker. Well, quicker anyway, is an 18.108, passes Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp. Wesley Lynch in the 33 will be 8th, it looks like, unless Wesley can get some extra time here coming to the line. On board with Wesley Lynch. And To the Stripe picks up a bunch of time. That's going to be good for 2nd place for Wesley Lynch in the Gravedigger Special. Chubb Shockley hitting the racetrack. Lap number 3 for Chubbs. It'll be a 17.870. That's going to be good for 2nd quick as well. That bumps the 33 of Wesley Lynch down a spot. Jay Nelson goes to the 5th position in a beautifully Christmased up paint scheme. I love this. A little hard to see the number, but love the snowflakes all over. Looks like a bunch of wrapping paper all over that car. It'll be a 17.901. That's 3rd quick. That bumps Wesley Lynch another spot. Sean Schneider now in car 26. Some really nice teal chrome on this car. We'll come across the stripe and we'll go, let's see, no faster. So we'll stay 11th quick so far, and we'll stay there in qualifying. Waylon Nelson going to hit the racetrack. Just enough time for Waylon to do so. Well, blinking. Oh boy. I was going to say, did the session advance on him? That's a lot of blinking for Waylon Nelson. Keeps disappearing, and we're losing him. I don't know if this lap is going to count. Sure enough, that lap does not count for Waylon Nelson, so lap 1 a wash. We'll see what lap 2 brings. An 18.083 for Waylon Nelson is good enough for 8th quick. We're now up to 14 cars as Waylon blinks a little bit down the back straightaway. And that lap, it looks like, will not count. So I will do my best this evening to keep everybody up to date with who's who in the zoo. There is going to be a challenge on my side as well as yours, so don't worry. It's going to be a challenging night, but hey, we can handle it. Just a little bit of a glitch, if you will. A little bit of a mishap, a little bit of an oversight. Going into the session, not something that was expected, that's for sure, for the ticker on the left side of your screen, but we'll have those supplementary graphics up as much as possible to help everybody see who is who and keep track, at least the best that we can. So Mason Walters is a spotter. Thank you, Peyton Howell, for letting us know. That is very helpful. Mason Walters is the spotter for the 97 car, so that he'll be gridding up in the 5th position. Let's take a look at the full starting grid this evening. A little bit different circumstances, a little bit different vibe right now, but that's okay. We'll take a look at the starting grid for us for our street stock portion of the Sunshine Derby. On pole, it's Riley Duncan. Chubb Shockley will start from the 2nd spot. It'll be Jay Nelson in 3rd, Wesley Lynch in 4th. Mason Walters will start from 5th place, Kenny Troughton from 6th. Dylan Canova will start from the 7th position in car number 70. Waylon Nelson will start from 8th, and starting 9th and 10th, it'll be James Daring and Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp. Starting at 11th, it'll be Jacob Wilson, 12th, Sean Schneider, and Trevor Vaden will bring up the 13th position with Steven Seams in the 14th spot. $14 cars in all for our street stock portion of the weekend. There's a whole bunch of racing, talked about it earlier just a little bit. We've got street stocks and super late model qualifying this evening. Tomorrow we're going to have late model stocks on the racetrack as well. We'll have late model stock qualifying, then super late model LCQ racing, late model stock LCQ racing, and then late model stock portion of the event for 100 laps in the Moonlight Derby 100. Sunday, of course, will be the main event. We'll have the 300 lapper with super late models here at Five Flags. That, of course, emulating the Snowball Derby. But tonight's street stock race, just 50 laps. Let's take a look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details. The 50-lap race, fixed setups, no change sets, 100% fuel, no fast fix, up to 2 green-white checkers. Very much excited for this evening's racing. 50 laps here at Five Flags Speedway is not a short nor long time, I'd say. It's right in the middle. It's a really good length for a street stock race. We're going to see these guys go through some tire wear, go through the track changing just a little bit, and if we look at the weather conditions as well, 78 degrees in the air. It's relatively warm down here in Florida, for December anyways. 78 degrees is warm in December regardless, even if it is Florida. So that is decently warm, just enough heat in the track to give these guys some grip. It'll be a lot of fun watching them go, as I said, for 50 laps here in the street stock race. Well, we're going to let the iRacing.com pace truck head to the safety of pit lane and get things started at Five Flags. We're off and away with the street stocks. Chubb Shockley leads lap 1. Quickly to the front of the field was Shockley. He got the jump on the start and got right down to the inside lane in front of Riley Duncan. James Daring turned around at a turn number 2. Problems for car 54. He will go to the back. Driver out of Lehigh Acres, Florida. This is a home race for him. Side-by-side battle for the 3rd spot. Jay Nelson on the outside. Mason Walters on the inside. Jay Nelson get a little free, and now for the race lead. Here comes Riley Duncan on the inside of Chubb Shockley. Duncan, fastest that lap at a 17.961, powers to the inside in the Frito Sport Monte Carlo. On board with Riley Duncan. Side-by-side battle for 3rd spot still between Mason Walters and Jay Nelson. They've swapped positions. Nelson now on the inside, Walters on the outside. They'll swap again. Here comes Walters back on the inside for turn number 3. And the field is getting rather spread out. James Daring close to going a lap down. He's about 3 seconds ahead of the race leaders right now as they stand. Chubb Shockley settling into 2nd spot. Nelson into 3rd. That's the spotter of the 97 car. Mason Walters in the 4th spot. In 5th, it's a battle between Wesley Lynch and Kenny Troughton. Lynch in the 33 machine from Team 53 out of Vail, North Carolina. I believe anyways, is that right? Yeah, Vail, North Carolina, got that one right. Here we go for 4th spot once again. Mason Walters on the inside, Jay Nelson on the outside out of Headland, Alabama. There's some battling happening behind him. Grant Thompson in the 54 out of Mobile, Alabama. Will go by Dylan Canova in the 70 machine out of Lakeland, Florida. This is right up Dylan's alley. I know Lakeland's a little bit further south, Pensacola a little bit further north, but still a home race. On board of Dylan Canova. And for the race lead, Chubb Shockley goes right to the inside and will take the race lead away from Riley Duncan. Now a battle for 3rd spot once again. We were on board there for a moment with the 70 of Canova. Jay Nelson on the outside of Mason Walters. This is now on lap 13 of 50, and we probably should go back up to the race lead here in a moment because Riley Duncan is starting to shape up with Chubb Shockley once again. But these two are side by side through the corners. We can't leave them just yet. Contact. Down the back stretch. Some contact with the wall there, maybe for Nelson in the 16 car. Up the racetrack he goes. Will fall back to Wesley Lynch, and now it'll be a battle for 4th. Love these onboard perspectives. You can see just how close these guys get, and when they make door-to-door contact, you'll see it from this camera. Very nearly making contact there. Oh, they're leaning on each other. Love this stuff. Oh, and Wesley Lynch gets in deep there. A little bit of contact made. Nelson up the racetrack. He'll fall back now to Kenny Troughton. We'll go on board with Troughton in the 25 car. Who's going to drive to the inside of Wesley Lynch. What a drive out of turn number 4 for Kenny Troughton. Drives straight to the inside of Wesley Lynch in the 33 car. Big move there. Caution out. That'll be for Sean Schneider and Jacob Wilson in the back of the field. First yellow of the weekend. And there is a lot of right front damage to Schneider's machine. Schneider. The name Schneider gets me all worked up. Sean Schneider. It's a fun one. Jacob Wilson, meanwhile, stuck back here with some damage. One of the only Thunderbird bodies I see in the field. We've got a couple of the Camaro bodies, we've got plenty of Monte Carlos. But I believe this is the only Thunderbird we've got in the field. Jacob Wilson out of South Boston, Virginia. Let's take a look back and see what happened. This will be a 3-car crash. It's going to involve the 9 of Waylon Nelson as well. And something tells me it'll start between the 9 of Waylon Nelson and the 26 there of Sean Schneider. Schneider gets loose. Nelson runs in the back of him. Up the racetrack. Oh my. Was that Schneider maybe a little bit upset with the 9 car? I think he just had the wheel so far to the right trying to save it that when it finally bit, he was just along for the ride. I mean, he had the wheel cranked. Here's the onboard. Had the wheel absolutely cranked all the way over, tried to bring it back to the left. That was not intentional. He just was along for the ride. And we can also get the replay and onboard from car 9, Waylon Nelson. Nelson now under caution is scored as... Well, scoring is actually taking a break because we were under yellow, and yellow laps do not count. Back green here at 5 Flags. Up the racetrack goes Wesley Lynch. Had a big scare to turn 1, hung on to the race car. They fight for 4th on back as 2nd and 3rd go at it now. Driver and spotter. They get single file. Will be Riley Duncan ahead of his spotter, Mason Walters. Meanwhile, it'll be Grant Thompson on the inside now of Wesley Lynch. Almost contact there between the 16 of Nelson and the 33 of Lynch. Now Pelletier gets sideways. Lynch a little bit all over the place. These guys are crazy right now in these street stocks. Coming up on halfway. Dylan Canova down there on the inside of Alyssa Pelletier. Maybe gets to the side of her. Pelletier is this very special case in one of these short track races. You don't see many drivers from abroad decide to run in a short track style race. However, we have got Alyssa Pelletier Sharp all the way from France joining us here on Pit Stop TV for the Sunshine Derby. And what a pleasure it is to have a international driver like this joining these ranks and going wheel to wheel, toe to toe with these drivers. Gets a run there on Trevor Vaden and will clear the 18 car. Out of France. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. Battle up ahead. Grant Thompson, Kenny Troughton. Thompson on the move. Will just slide ahead of Troughton there for the 4th spot. And completes that pass. Troughton then dives back on the inside there. Couldn't quite get to the inside of the 54 car. I'm telling you, my favorite camera on these cars is right here, the helmet cam. Makes you feel like you're driving the car. Makes you feel like you're riding along with the driver. In this case, you're on board with Kenny Troughton out of Ionia, Michigan. And we've just gone past halfway, by the way. Now this weekend's Sunshine Derby brought to you by Club Racing Incorporated, the presenting partner of the Sunshine Derby. As you see a pass up ahead between Mason Walters and the Riley Duncan machine. Duncan falls back a spot, Mason Walters moves up. Tires starting to wear out. I think Duncan's driven those tires off the car. Remember, that was something I mentioned would happen in this race. It's just long enough for tire wear to become a thing and plague these drivers or benefit these drivers. It's just long enough. And Chubb Shockley is off to the races, man. He has got a second on Mason Walters now in that number 05 car. I don't know what Chubb Shockley's got in this thing, but out of Snow Hill, Maryland, he has got the field covered right now by a second. And he's running the old street stock body, running the old Camaro. So we've got the new Monte Carlo and the new Thunderbird. Those are all fancy and whatnot, but you've got two old Panther-type street stocks, the Camaro bodies, leading the field. First and second. Riley Duncan now being caught up by Grant Thompson. Thompson on the move, as I said, into fourth spot, sliding around, wants third though. Look at how much they slide through the corner there. That was a really good camera for it. We'll see it again down here in 1 and 2, just how much they slide around the corner, over the bumps, just hanging on. Two cars out of this race, those being James Daring and Sean Schneider. No fast repair means the damage is carried over. Oftentimes in rookie street stock races, you'll see one fast repair just in case. That is not the case this evening. On board with Grant Thompson from 47 Speed Shop. This is also a good view. You see the air cleaner there right ahead. We have a battle further back, Jay Nelson and Jacob Wilson as we hit 15 laps to go. These two will fight for 9th position on the racetrack just ahead of Trevor Vaden. And there's one car off the pace entirely, that is the injured Waylon Nelson machine. All of that damage from that crash earlier. And he's just trying to hang on now. Here we go, Nelson and Wilson. Wilson makes the pass in that 51 car. That Thunderbird body. And Nelson's trying to hang on as Grant Thompson will go by Riley Duncan. Duncan looking like he's injured. It's just the tires, I think, going away on that 97 car, drifting through 1 and 2. Troughton goes by in the 25 car. That's good for 4th. And there goes Riley Duncan for a spin. Caution is out. And oh no, Trevor Vaden. Smash. That was a big hit for Trevor Vaden. I think that car is going to be damaged, and yes, it is. That's going to be day done for the 18 machine. We'll go first to Riley Duncan in the 97 car. You saw how sideways he was, and right, not quite here. This was the lap prior. Bam! Side swipes the 54 car, and then Kenny Troughton comes on by. You'll see just how sideways this 97 gets down here in 3 and 4. Sideways enough that he couldn't hang on to it anymore, right there. And then Trevor Vaden's fighting side by side with Jay Nelson, and Nelson actually went for a spin as well. Wow. On board with Riley Duncan out of New Brunswick. And smash. Big hit. Here's Trevor Vaden's perspective from on top of the car. Out of Kernersville, North Carolina. Racing with Jay Nelson, there was just nowhere to go. Went into the spin, actually, before making contact with the 97 car. And this will turn things over to Chubb Shockley once again in the 0-5. We'll have just a handful of laps to go. It'll be 12 laps to go when we get the green flag. 2 old Camaro-type bodies leading the field. A couple of Monte Carlos. In fact, 4 Monte Carlos in the next 4 spots. Let's see what they can do. Green flag, back in the air. Mason Walters tries to slam the door on Grant Thompson. Thompson opens it up. There was some contact there, and Mason Walters is back now to the 5th position. Wesley Lynch fills the gap for 4th. Ten laps to go here at Five Flags Speedway in the Street Stock feature. Wesley Lynch gets sideways. Contact maybe with Alyssa Pelletier Sharp and the 70 of Dylan Canova. Wesley Lynch gets sideways again. These guys are just trying to hang on now. 50 laps is apparently a long time for Street Stock tires. Nelson getting sideways, just hangs on to the race car. Look how close these guys are. Almost some contact there on board with Dylan Canova, looking up at the 116 of Jay Nelson. A bumper fills the screen and Dylan Canova gets sideways and falls back. Riley Duncan now out of the race. Mason Walters now out of the race. Trevor Vaden also out of the race. That leaves 9 cars on track this evening, and Chubb Shockley is out to lunch. It'll be 5 laps to go, this time by Grant Thompson in pursuit. Has the better line that time through 3 and 4, but will lose the run off the corner maybe. Here's the gap. 7/10 through the center of the corner. Just inside of 6/10 down the straightaway. Four laps to go. That was 3 laps to go, coming to 2 laps to go. This is the battle for the race lead. Not so much battle right now. Of course, Grant Thompson trying to make it a battle. Trying to chase down Chubb Shockley. Has the better line through the corner most laps. But the top side seems to be rolling. Meanwhile, Wesley Lynch, contact there, and in the wall goes the 33 car. White flag, though, in the air for Chubb Shockley. One more time around. Brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Down the back straightaway. And Chubb Shockley is going to kick off the Sunshine Derby with a race win at Five Flags Speedway. Chubb Shockley with the race win. We'll bring it around to the front straightaway. And I would imagine we'll do some burnouts here. That's what the fans want to see. from Matt Julis Speed Shop. Matt Julis C Speed Shop, rather. No burnouts, it looks like, for Chubb Shockley, but a race win nonetheless. Dominating victory here in the Street Stock feature. 40 laps led out of 50 laps run. That is absolute domination for driver 05. Waiting just to see in case he ends up doing a burnout. But I think he's just going to park it there on the front straightaway and come and talk to us. We'll go down and grab a word here, if we can. Let's go through race results first then. Trying to work with Ethan Wolf, series admin. But let's take a look at the race results this evening. Of course, with the race win is Chubb Shockley, Grant Thompson second spot, Kenny Troughton third. Alyssa Pelletier Sharp there in fourth. The driver out of France, a very solid result in this street stock race. Wesley Lynch fifth, Dylan Canova sixth, Jay Nelson, Jacob Wilson, and Waylon Nelson. The rest of the drivers that finished this race, Riley Duncan took an early exit. Mason Walters took that early exit as well in car 12. Trevor Vadenden in 12th spot, James Daring 13th. Sean Schneider in 14th, and Steven Seams did not make the start. Working on a couple of kinks in the background. I think we've got it sorted out, and we will grab a word with Chubb Shockley this evening. Race winner in the street stock portion of this race. Chubbs, do you have us? He's got his mic muted right now. Well, maybe we'll grab a word with Chubb Shockley during qualifying. It seems like it wasn't meant to be here during the street stock portion of the broadcast. It just wasn't meant to be at all. But Chubb Shockley, the race winner here in street stock action. Grant Thompson second, Kenny Troughton third. A very solid top three. Giving it just another moment here to see if we can grab Chubb Shockley before things are done. Chubbs, if you're out there watching, give it one more shot here. We'll have you join up. But in the meantime, we can take a look at what's coming up for us here at Pit Stop TV. Next up, well, it's tomorrow's portion. After Super Late Model qualifying tonight, it's tomorrow's portion, the Moonlight Derby 100. That's tomorrow, coverage beginning at 4:30 Eastern. And then Sunday at 1:45 Eastern, we've got the Sunshine Derby 300 coming at you with Super Late Models on track here at Five Flags Speedway. And Tuesday, we go back to our regular programming. The BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series from Bristol Motor Speedway on December 17th. It seems like it wasn't meant to be as far as driver interviews go, but that's okay. We will try and grab some here when we go qualifying in about a half an hour. Until then, we'll have some alternative programming here at Pit Stop TV to bridge the gap between the street stock race that ended a little bit early and the scheduled qualifying. Qualifying is scheduled to begin at 8:20. We'll see if the time is adjusted a little bit, but there is about a half hour between now and then, so we'll have some alternative programming in the background, and you'll be able to enjoy that while we wait on qualifying to begin. The super late model portion of qualifying anyways is going to be coming up here in just about a half hour. So a little bit of time here before we go racing, or qualifying that is. Want to give a shout out to all of our partners once again, bringing you coverage of this weekend's racing. Club Racing Incorporated, Damn It Dim It Racing Videos, Caden Tufts Designs, KC Athletics, MTM Fabrication, and Goodacre Photography. It would not be possible for us to do this broadcast, for us to have this race this weekend, without these wonderful partners. That'll do it for us in the street stock portion of this weekend's racing. Oh, hang on. We might have Chubb Shockley. Just in time here before we close things out. We might have Chubb Shockley. Chubbs, you have us this time.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Street stock race winner. 50 laps run, 40 laps led by the 05 car. Clearly, you had things running smoothly, but how'd the car feel?
It's getting pretty loose there at the end, but pretty much through the race, it was pretty good, I'd say.
I would say more than pretty good. 40 laps led out of the 50 run, and a good way to start off this weekend's festivities. How excited are you for Super Late Model Racing and qualifying coming up next?
A little nervous here, I guess, because I'm not the best in the Super, but we'll see what we can do, carry the momentum.
I know the cars are vastly different in just about every way, aside from the fact that it's a stock car with 4 tires and an engine, but is there anything that you can transfer from the fact that you just dominated this field in a street stock to that super late model qualifying?
I wouldn't say so, but I think me and Jacob Harbert's, he's got the setup pretty good for us, so I'm feeling confident for qualifying.
Yeah, you're in good company over there at Matt Julis Speed Shop. A lot of really fast drivers and really fast setup builders. Jacob Harbert's a mainstay in the Sarah Super Series that we cover here at Pit Stop TV. Does that help you have some, I guess, better thoughts going into qualifying and racing this weekend?
Yeah, Jacob's an absolute goat. Helps me out a lot, gives me confidence, driving tips, whatever I need. Even play some Fortnite with me, all that. But I'm excited for it.
Well, all that and more on a setup builder. How about that? Chubb Shockley, good to talk to you. Congratulations on the street stock win. Hopefully we'll talk to you again later on this evening and through this weekend.
Yep, thank you.
That is Chubb Shockley, maybe the greatest name in racing. I absolutely love that name, Chubb Shockley. That is just the best. But that will do it for us for the street stock portion, and we'll be back in about 25 minutes or so, unless we're told qualifying is going to start early. In which case, we'll be back a little bit earlier, but stick with us here at Pit Stop TV. We'll have some alternative programming running in the background, but don't go anywhere.
Absolutely. As now we see the drivers make their way into the pit boxes. Dobbs, Robertson, Kinder, Barlow going to go all through 4 of them and take his place on the first pit stall. Wide bracket falling in behind. As now we wait to see these 4 tires and fuel and who's going to be able to win off payroll first. Adam Lancaster drops to Jack first. Alan Dobbs is going to get off away early as Lancaster is going to jump all the way up to 3rd with that, almost beat Robertson, and they make contact, and that is not what you want to see. That might be a pit exit violation on 28, but that is a very devastating blow to number 2 car. You got to hope he didn't get too much damage out of that, but that was a hard hit to the inside wall.
Down the straightaway. We'll get a replay here and show you that one again. That car was really consistent and really strong. I was thinking Robertson was going to be a big factor in the finish of this race. You see Adam Lancaster and Brandon Robertson coming out side by side from the exit of the pit lane, and there was for the completion of 4 fresh tires on that machine. Dobbs got him out of the pit lane, no question about that, but Lancaster got a really great pit stop, came out beside him, and just trying to have enough room between both himself and the wall and himself and Lancaster. Obviously, he misjudged how much room he had to his right side and just clipped that wall. Unfortunately, that's going to be a big blow for Brandon Robertson, but he should be able to get that car fixed up and maybe before we even get back to green flag racing, get it back on the grid.
So getting on pit lane is going to matter a lot. Getting off of pit lane is going to matter a bunch as well. And we also see that margin from 2nd and 3rd starting to close up on the race leader, Jesse Webb. We were talking about the headlights. He was making good use of them there, trying to warn, oh, trouble in front of him. Look out, that's right in front of the leader. He somehow gets by after the 2 lap cars tangle in turn 1.
It looked like Gergois might have gotten on the brakes a little bit too hard, and he will collect Mick Blue as a result. Not too much critical damage for these drivers, but handling is sure to be an issue.
So Gergois, the car that got into the back of Mick Blue, who perhaps was maybe trying to yield to the leader, who was warning that he was en route and on the way. And Mick Blue also ended up spinning around. They now fall a lap behind the leader, who, what a job, though, by Jesse Webb to slam on the brakes as they all came into turn number 1 with a full head of steam. And due to where Gergois' car spun on the pavement as we back into the barrier here on board with Mick Bloom, looks as though that Webb is going to live to fight another day. Here it is out the back of Gergois' car, and here comes Webb. Deep down to turn number 1, just right into the back of Mick Blue, and there goes Webb, able to squeeze on by, and just like that, that is how quickly things can come undone for the front runners in lap traffic.
7 rather, and it ends up working for Bruno, but I'm not so sure that I would have done the same thing there into turn 1 like that, or turn 2 rather. Oh, Safeker's around!
Okay.
Oh, Jesdal had that big issue. Whoa!
Hey, just punted him right around. Luckily, he was able to get that thing fired up really quick, Jesdal.
Yeah, that was Jesdal who goes around out of 7. That's what I was saying. He is the reason this all happened. So Jesdal has this spin, and wow, he just got on the power, I think, too much in that compression and spun the car around. And suddenly, here comes Nate Siefker, and Siefker's just got this big head of steam. It goes off track to clear him, and then gets punted off for doing so. I'm not sure that was intentional from Jesdal. I think it just ended up happening that way. Of course, Siefker going off track like that probably is already on the binders as soon as he gets back to the black there. And Jesdal just wasn't ready. Let's put that behind us. We've got to restart to focus on 2 laps to go. It's green, white, checkered. Out of 100 laps, we now have 2 more to go to make it 104. Anthony Masadi, the race leader. Jeremy Berger, second place. The 2-car Jack Ryan in there as well. How does this shake down?
You see Stephen Parrott. We haven't seen much of him. So here it is. Oh, and they're wrecking.
That's everybody.
Oh,
that's everybody.
Upside down. Yeah, that's the whole field right there coming
Holden
back
McGill
again.
just did a barrel roll out of turn 4. Everybody's in this, and we're still crashing. We're still crashing. We're still crashing. Oh my. Oh, we're still crashing up here. We're creating new crashes. Oh boy.
In the field. We'll get a replay, and I don't know if you can pick out one single car to follow through this one, because this included most of the cars left in this race.
If you look at that, Landon Durhold was the only person to get through that.
I've never seen a crash quite like this. You know what? We're setting new marks every day. It looks like Joseph just, I mean, he's in the throttle. He has every right to be, and just hooks the 49. And I mean, there's nowhere to go for anybody. Logan Durhold, you're right. Gets through. Oh, somebody else. Who was that? Ford on the bottom side. Oh, you know what? That was Kevin Franks we were talking about a while ago. How he might be in this thing. He's back in it, boys. Oh my. I don't know.
It's hard to keep control of it, and while that didn't cause the yellow itself, because obviously you see Joseph just trying to give the shove that he needs to get the momentum towards the front, but it's this part of the turn. It's where you get back into the banking change is where the rest of the field's going to have a problem, because they're going to have...
We're going to watch Kevin Franks go through this. You see them starting to wreck a little bit in front. He's going to dive down to the apron, gets a little bit loose. You see Landon Durhold in front of him, and he just gets away scot-free. One of the few cars of the field that gets by scot-free.
Sure. How about this, though? Nearly 3 wide for third spot. Brunnemer under fire from Ledecky, who's got drafting help. They almost come together at the start-finish line, and that's John Wittendorf trying to find a way through. And how about Hansen? He's trying to draw even here. We're back on board with Beats as they come to turn 2. They're going to survive the corner there. No look for the lead for the time being, but Hansen had a huge run just behind to try to get up into the top 5. And there's trouble. That's Hansen crashing there as they come through turn 4.
And James Hansen was a driver who entered the championship picture third in points. And while he will have that drop week as available, this is probably going to be the round where he's going to have to take it. He's probably falling back into it, the 20s or the 30s. And that was absolutely massive contact.
I believe Brady Lubenow was one of the cars involved. Hansen was in 6th. Notice that he had a huge run up the main straightaway. Looks as though may have tried to pull out and make a move. And you see, this is coming through turn 2. Oh, it started there with Ledecky. Ledecky got loose. The field stacked up behind him. And by the time the accordion kind of got back to where Lubenow was running in company, Hansen was already sideways, and Lubenow ended up piling in.
Yeah, unfortunate to just see so many early runners get collected. I used the word early already, but yeah, we're early into the running. You definitely don't want to fall out of the picture like this in the first 10 minutes or so of a 60-minute race. But I think just goes to show that these drivers were probably the most aggressive we've seen early in the race so far this season. And I think we're just seeing that Imola is offering a great combination of overtaking opportunities and places to catch back up. And it's still a very difficult circuit, even if it allows a lot of chances to get back up there to a driver ahead of you.
On board with Hansen. There you see the contact there as he got in the back of Wittendorf. Ruderbusch then jacks up Hansen, sends him around, and then it's Lubenow with the big blow that gets Hansen up on his side. Driving there as they go into the corner. Vic trying to find a way through. Almost overcooked turn 5. He'll fall back in line there behind the car, in which he just lost the position to there in Lowry. And this race will continue on up in a 6th spot. While we have a quick look of the top 10, this will open up an opportunity for us to thank some of those on the series side who make this race possible. And take a look at the driver who is currently running in 10th spot. That's Sarah Rabb, +6 on this race as the battle for position continues on. But there's Sarah, been able to keep her nose clean. We mentioned the impressive end. And just as we were talking about Sarah Rabb, she's going to lose it on the power off the corner. She'll now back up out of harm's way, and Sarah Rabb is going to get it right, and she will lose that top 10 starting position. And I believe I owe Sarah Rabb an apology for the jinx here. I was just about to talk about the fact that she has thrown her name on as a series sponsor and supporter. With her liveries by Sarah Rabb, with her graphic design experience of over 7 years, with awards at local, state, and national levels, she's absolutely committed to making sure that your next livery or logo is a masterpiece, just like her beautiful race car here that she had now sent sideways after catching the curve there on driver's right, and that has kicked her out of a top 10 running position. So what a heartbreaker for Sarah Rabb. But nevertheless, we will continue to acknowledge the fact that she supports this series in more ways than one, and hopefully she will have an opportunity to get back up into a top 10 spot before all said and done here.
Man, that
Probably
really
go to
hurts.
third and fourth. We go on the pit lane, see quite a handful of drivers down there, including Tyler Langenberg, who is missing that front end.
Langenberg, a driver who looks as though he has found the edge of disaster here at Imola in this race at about just over the 45 minutes to go mark. And let's go back here and see what happened to Langenberg. Car looks clean for now, kind of running by himself, catches a little bit of curbing here on the left-hand side of the course. Starting to close up here. Oh, wow. So something happened in front of Langenberg. He slowed down as the field stacked up and came to a stop and just got launched up skyward. And Langenberg, who started back in 26, started working his way up through the pack. Now in the pit lane with a car, which I'm not sure they may be able to get that repaired and back out. So far, he's still in the session, but that was bizarre.
I'm utterly speechless after that accident. We'll get another perspective here of that, but he's definitely going to be, a little bit disappointed after all the practice you put in. But I think upon reflection, that is going to be a bit humorous, just considering the amount of airtime he was able to garner. Almost caught a piece of that spectator crossover bridge.
So Randall Ayers got off course, was starting to come back on. Oh, Scott Snyder is the car that got spun off, and he goes into the barrier hard. And then as Snyder was rejoining, I think here comes Randall Ayers. It's right out of the view of our screen. There it is. Oh, and Snyder, he was trying to avoid another competitor. Ayers was the car that punted the backside of Langenberg and sent him flying. So now,
yeah, we'll get another perspective here, this time on board. So this should offer a pretty fun experience here. You see the initial accident happening up ahead. All around, he's doing the right thing, and he was able to maintain the racing line, and eventually things closed up on him, and then the driver ahead either was, just not wary of what was initially happening ahead, didn't know that there were cars coming up into the racing line. It'll happen sometimes. Racing incidents will happen. It's the nature of this, and I think that's the important thing about the sim side of things, is that you can learn from those mistakes without it being an expensive.
Scott Fritz now off of turn number 4 for what might be the final time. First restart overtime, as now Fritz going to get a huge jump. Alan Dobbs gets caught sleeping, as now he's going to get stuck behind Ronnie Shark Jr., who tries to give the bumper as he tries to defend from Alan Dobbs. As now down the back straightaway with 2 laps to go, he is in a good spot to get this win.
Aggression very high, and it looks like we are coming out of turn 4, meaning we will get the white flag. Race is official. Fritz gets loose off of 4. We're going to have a fight for the lead. 3 cars for it.
Oh no, hard break for the 1, and a huge wreck as they stack it up in turn number 1. But who is the big winner? We talked about it. He started in 4th. He's going to bring it home under yellow. It's going to be Casey Barlow coming off of turn number 4, checkered flag in the air. They're actually going to race it back to the line. It is going to be Casey Barlow taking the win. Nicholas Nagel going to hold on to 2nd. And how about this? John Kinder with the incredible comeback. He takes home 3rd.
Just goes to show how massive that wreck was up front. And then behind him, Casey Barlow does not have a rear bumper. And then behind those two, John Kinder's car is even more mangled. What an incredible podium. We are watching the replay and seeing the cause of the incident. Just a lot of aggressive action. And all of the top 4 get collected, including even more behind them.
Yeah, you see it if we can get a chance again to look at the runoff of turn number 4. It all started in turn number 3. He got a little bit too excited. He saw that he was in the clear. Was a little bit excited entering turn number 3, and he just ran it a little bit too wide and overcooked the corner. And then sadly, he was taken out in that. And Casey Barlow actually had to run it all the way back to the start finish line to fend off Nicholas Nagel. You're going to see exactly where he was. Point number 4, you see there right there. Fritz gets a little wide off of 4. Dobbs and Shark Jr. fighting hard. Dobbs dives down to the inside. You can't make 3 wide work in 1 lane, and then that just sends all 3 of them around. Fritz bounced off the wall. Dobbs bounces in front of Brackett. Barlow dives to the inside with the smallest margin he could have found, and he holds on
2 laps to go. This is Zach Arnold on the outside, Merrick Watchorn on the inside, Holden McGill, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Wyatt Brackett, pace cars in, let's go racing. 2 laps to settle it.
Excellent start there with Zach Arnold. You see Merrick Watchorn actually had a little bit of wheel spin. That's going to bring Holden McGill up into the mix. They're going to send it down into turn 1. Looks like we got a car around further in the back.
That's going to be
We're
the
still
caution.
good. That's the end. Zach Arnold will win. Oh my gosh.
Big accident on the back straightaway. They're still wrecking.
Absolutely hectic here on the final lap here at Richmond. Robert Mathis involved. Oh man, the pace car driving through those guys.
Oh,
you see the
no,
leaders
he's
coming
got,
up on the
he's got to
carnage.
miss it to win. He's got to miss the accident.
He better get back up there. Don't want a scoring error. There you go. You see Merrick Watchorn letting him go on by.
And coming to the checkers, I don't think anybody thought we were going to be saying this, but Zach Arnold wins at Richmond.
He's going to win, and he's going to burn it down. Very well deserved.
Yep, on the front straightaway. Zach Arnold, your race winner at Richmond. Out of all the drivers who dominated, Zach Arnold did not. And he came at the right time and stole the show on a phenomenal restart on the second green-white checkered. Put him in prime position to hold everybody off. That second to last restart, the second green-white checkered. How did you get that amazing start?
Yeah, I saw that he had been jumping it, right after the pace car pulled off, and I was in my head, and I knew there was second gear restart was a little sketchy on the bottom, and there was no way I was going to try that up top, so I went to third gear restart there, and just got the jump of my life, and just really propelled me.
Race can be a little tricky as we go into another one of the more tricky.
Whoa, Rambler and Fralick spin! Oh, and Hunter gets involved. Rambler went around as well, and that's some wing damage then for Don Hunter. Who got through that? Well, Rambler, I think, got back on the racetrack and got through it. Fralick still trying to get himself back collected.
Contact.
Oh my gosh, 3 cars! All 3 of them, Hunter, Rambler, and Mercier. Will this prompt a full course yellow? We've got a car stopped. It's Rambler. Yes, it is! We get a full course yellow. Welcome back to the virtual Five Flags Speedway. That long break is finally over. That means we are moments away from qualifying race cars here at the virtual Five Flags Speedway in virtual Pensacola, Florida. Checking in at a half mile, this place is historic. Boy, is it ever. Opened in 1953, it's been home to the Snowball Derby for the entirety of the Snowball Derby's existence, all 57 years and counting. We can get down trackside and take a look at some of these paint schemes before qualifying opens up officially, and we'll get into the iRacing.com sim there, and we can get down and check out some of these paint schemes in the pit lane. We'll begin off with Peyton Howell, or at least we'll try with Peyton Howell. How about Morgan McDonald instead, the number 15 car? We'll go down through some of the paint schemes before qualifying officially gets started. Here's Morgan McDonald out of Antigonish, Nova Scotia. We've also got Trevor Vaden out of Kernersville, North Carolina. Can't really see much of the paint scheme there. There it is. Black Rifle Coffee Company on the side of that number 18 car. Wesley Lynch in the number 33 from Vail, North Carolina. A throwback there. Also got Larson Parker out of Thornton, Colorado with a beautiful paint scheme on that, number 18. Greg Thurlow in the number 38. From Pueblo, Colorado, Kyle Ricketts out of West Lafayette, Indiana. Julian Valadez out of Terre Haute, Indiana. We've also got Carson Klingelhofer out of DeGraff, Ohio, with the stock 5-star bodies paint scheme. Love that. Scott Negus out of West Chesapeake, Nova Scotia. Alexander Rowe out of Glide, Oregon, with no sponsors. Made sure to put it in all caps on his entry blank. No sponsors on that number 92 Toyota Camry. but a beautiful paint scheme on that super late model nonetheless. Grant Thompson in the 54 from Rock123.com out of Mobile, Alabama. Riley Duncan in the number 97. Easy clean on the hood and side of that Firebird out of St. John, New Brunswick. Also got Chase Pierce out of Lexington, North Carolina. Alyssa Pelletier Sharp out of France. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the town name. How about Waylon Nelson out of Andalusia, Alabama. And Jane Nelson out of Headland, Alabama. Saw one car in motion. That's Chase Pierce working down the pit lane. And I believe staging, ready to go qualifying in just a moment. We'll check in with the weather conditions this evening in our qualifying session. In the air, we're looking at 78 degrees. On track, 78 degrees. Perfect night to go qualifying, and here we go. Chase Pierce, the first car on the racetrack, and lap 1 will begin. These drivers get 3 laps to go qualifying. Chase Pierce first lap in the books. A 15.832 counting so far for Chase Pierce, and this is technically going to be counting as lap 4. So I don't think this lap is going to count. He's going to go for it anyways, and it would have been an 8.92, so a little bit slower. The 8.32 will count. Top Hat Comics on that Ford Mustang. And he's the first to etch in a time. Trevor Ward now on the racetrack. Trevor Ward out of Oxford, Maine. Heading the speedway here at Five Flags. Lap number 1 underway. Lap 1 of 15.980, a little bit slower than Chase Pierce. We'll see if lap 1 is the lap of record or if lap 3 is the lap that counts for these guys. Lap 2 is going to be faster at 8.83. That's not quite fast enough for provisional pole just yet, though. Chase Pierce has still got that locked down. And the Pontiac Trans Am of Trevor Ward will go for lap number 3 at 9.56. We'll slow down on lap 3 and will stay provisionally in second place. Mark Sontag Jr. out of Shorewood, Illinois on the racetrack next. Now, we don't know a whole lot of these guys here at Pit Stop TV. There's a lot of new names to us. We're going to learn a lot over the course of the weekend, though. Of course, we've got qualifying this evening. We've got the LCQ tomorrow for the super late models. And we've got the full program of late model stock racing tomorrow as well. And then the super late model race on Sunday. Checkers in the air for Sontag. It'll be a 1-3-4, a 16-1-3-4. And that will be it for driver number 1. You wait the next driver on the speedway. It looks like it's going to be Greg Thurlow in the number 38 potentially, or Julian Valadez. Somebody here is going to hit the racetrack. We know that much. It'll be the 97 actually. Looks like that'll be Riley Duncan hitting the racetrack next. See all that green tape on the nose? Look at it. All of that green tape. It is taped up entirely. All of it. The entire grill opening is covered. Love when these guys run brightly colored paint that you can see like that. You can see just how taped up these cars are, trying to make downforce, trying to seal off the nose. Riley Duncan at St. John, New Brunswick. One of our Canadian drivers in the league. Lap 1, a 15.980, good for third. Gonna set up for lap number 3 here, going wide. And for Riley Duncan, here we go to the start-finish line. What's it going to be? A 15.865. We'll see if that one counts. It does. That's good for second. It finalizes to an 8.64. Next car on the racetrack, Greg Thurlow out of the Race EPI stable, but Pueblo, Colorado. See the purple paint on the nose of that race car again, completely taped up. I said purple paint, purple tape. Completely taped up on that Camaro. Lap 1 is 16.392. Off the pace a little bit is Thurlow. Looking to pick up a bunch of time here on lap 2 and again on lap 3. Lap 2 gonna be a 16.002, so he picks up a bunch, but still a little bit off of pole. Not quite 2/10 slow. And the driver out of Pueblo, Colorado will stay 4th quick so far. That'll allow Julian Valadez at the racetrack next. Out of Terre Haute, Indiana. Well, drivers, if you want to have a chat, oh, that's a huge moment for Valadez. Lost the back end completely into turns 1 and 2. That's a bunch of right side damage. Gonna have to stick with it here and make the best of it. That was a huge mishap into the corner. We'll get a replay of that in a moment. Loose again down the back stretch on the turn number 2. As I was saying, drivers, if you want to have a chat with us here at Pit Stop TV, join the broadcast waiting room and we can bring you in for an interview. But that is a 16.135 for Valadez. Final lap coming up. It's going to be a 16.132, so a little bit faster, but off the pace. We'll go back and see what happened to Valadez to make that happen in the first place. Here's the outlap. We'll watch the hands. Valadez running with 47 Speed Shop this weekend. Here it is, the big moment on lap 1. Turns the car in, and the rear end just comes out from underneath him. Next car on the racetrack, it'll be Zach Maroney in the 720. Driver out of Midland, Texas. AV design on the hood. Best lap so far out of 2 laps is a 16.317, so off pace. And looking for a whole lot more here on lap number 3 to the stripe. It's going to be a spin for Zach Maroney. Back-to-back qualifying problems, but it was faster A 16.292 for Maroney is going to move him up a little bit, but will keep him 7th place. Presley Sora. Boy, this is a cool guy. Has made his ARCA racing debut in 2024. A big year for Presley Sora out of Cambridge City, Indiana. Really big momentum around this guy in the ARCA racing scene, and can't wait to see where he's going to go in years coming up. Lap 1 for Sora, a 15.990, an avid iRacer, taking that knowledge, that experience over to the real world. Can't wait to see where he goes in his racing career. It finalizes a 16.007 for lap 1, a 16.297 for lap 2. Looking for a whole lot more here on lap 3. 5th quick out of 8 cars so far. With Shack Eye gear on the hood, looking for something better, and he'll find it. It's a 15.927. Good for 4th. And here comes the Frenchwoman. Usually say Frenchman. It'll be Alyssa Pelletier Sharp in the Volkswagen. Out of France. Driver number 71 hitting the racetrack right to it. What a line through turn 1, right on that inside wall. Let me take the onboard here, see if she can get that close again. Stays wider this time. A 15.943 is good for 5th. Kind of throwing away lap number 2 here to make a run for lap number 3. Let's see what Pelletier's got. Not quite as close to the wall there. And to the stripe, it'll be a 15.888. That's going to move up. That's going to be better than Presley Sora. That's good for 4th position now out of 9 cars that have turned a time. And some 25, it looks like, that are here this evening for qualifying. Actually, I think 35 are here. Had the number wrong. Blake Thronberg working down the pit lane. Here's Jacob Wilson now on the racetrack to qualify. Out of South Boston, Virginia. Little sideways there on lap 1, exiting turn number 4. It's still a 16.011, not bad. That's good for 7th. Grabs the wall here on lap 2. Going to be looking for a whole lot better of a run on lap 3. Don't want to get sideways. You don't want to hit the wall. So far, 2 for 2 on mistakes. A better looking lap number 3 here, trying to beat a 16.006. Hits the wall out of turn number 4, and I think that's going to be it. A 16.140. That's not what Wilson's going to want. 7th place so far out of now 10 cars that have qualified. Blake Thronberg hitting the racetrack. You see the Sim Auto Racing Association decals on that number 22 car. A staple in the Sarah Super Series on Thursday evenings that we cover here at Pit Stop TV. Right down on that inside wall through turn 1. That is perfect line. A perfect line for the Matt Julius C Speed Shop driver. We'll go on board with Thronberg out of Graham, North Carolina. And pole time for the Crow Sim Shots number 22 by a half a tenth. Blake Thronberg to the top of the board out of Graham, North Carolina. Going to go for more. And that just shows you the pedigree of the drivers in the Sim Auto Racing Association. There's a reason that series is invite only, and Blake Thronberg is in it. Lap 2 here, a 15.819. It's consistent. That also would have been good for pole, but no faster for the number 22. Trevor Vaden out of Kernersville, North Carolina. On board inside the car, you'll see his hands working on the left side of your screen. Windshield in the center. A little bit loose there on lap 1, coming to the stripe. Exactly 4/10 off the pole. And to the stripe there, lap 2 a little bit slower for Trevor Vaden. And 3 I think will be a little bit sour as well. That was not a good line in 1 and 2. So 169, now 178 on lap 3, so a hair faster, but no positions gained by Trevor Vaden. Scott Negus next up on the racetrack, already turning lap number 1 out of West Chesapeake, Nova Scotia. Gonna have to contact Tim Terry on how to pronounce that name, that town name. I think I'm close, but Tim would probably know. A 145, a 16.145 on lap 1. It'll be a 16.087 on lap number 2. It finalizes to a 16.095. The preliminary time and the final time are sometimes a little bit off. Preliminarily, across the line here for lap 3, it'll be a 16.071, and it will finalize to an 065. So car 55 will stay 9th quick, but Scott Negus, not too bad, about middle of the field right now, towards the bottom end of the middle of the field anyways. And here comes maybe the best to do it right now in a late model on iRacing, whether it's a super late model or a late model stock car. Alex McCullum out of Phillipsburg, New Jersey. He's been dominating the Sim Auto Racing Association in the 1/8 Racing Media National Tour. He's the defending champion of the Sarah Super Series. Across the stripe, lap 1, Alex McCullum. It's going to be a 15.714 new fast lap. Alex McCullum. And that time just might stand the rest of the session. It's a 7.40 on lap 2. We'll see what lap 3 is going to be. But this guy is the best to do it right now in a late model on iRacing, and I will stand by that statement. Lap 3, a 7.29. You won't find 3 more consistent laps in this entire field, I don't think. From Alex McCullum Race Cars, your new provisional pole sitter, Alex McCullum. Brandon Wilkinson, a long-time Sarah veteran. Been running late models on iRacing for a long time, has Brandon Wilkinson out of Concord, North Carolina. On board with Wilkinson, lap 1 to the stripe. 15.812, that's going to be good for 3rd. About a 10th off, grabs the wall there, and that's going to be it for Wilkinson. He will let that lap stand and bring it straight to the safety of pit lane. Next up, Chubb Shockley using some cheese here on the apron. What do you go for? Swiss? American? Let us know in the YouTube comments. What is your cheese of choice on your cheeseburger? Anyways. Chubb Shockley from Matt Julis C Speed Shop. And out of Snow Hill, Maryland. Won the street stock portion of this event earlier this evening in dominating fashion. 40 out of 50 laps led. It's a 16.260 on lap 1. That was a little bit off. Was running the outside lane there. Was setting up for this lap. Oh, an 8.45 for Shockley. That's a solid lap time. And is going to be good for 5th position so far. Out of 16 that have run, to be that far up, Chubb Shockley's got some speed. 8.47. That was consistent. That was really, really good out of Chubb Shockley. Next up, maybe the next best to do it. Out of Massachusetts. If Alex McCullum is driver number 1 in a late model on iRacing, I would say Ryan Kuhn is driver number 2. From Ryan Kuhn Motorsports, riding the outside lane here on lap 1, setting up for lap number 2. Dive straight to the inside there on lap number 2, right around the inside lane. We know how good this guy is from the Sarah Super Series here on Pit Stop TV. Lap 2, Ryan Kuhn of 15.792. That's good for 3rd. And he'll go for lap 3 here for fun. Might find something on the 3rd lap. To the stripe. A 9.72, a little bit off. I think he'll be happy with a 3rd place so far when about half the field is qualified. On the racetrack out of Radford, Virginia, Peyton Howell. Lap 1 of 15.921. That's good for 10th. Not a bad lap, though. Looking for a little bit more on lap number 2. Actually, it'll be lap number 3. The Icon Apparel Company 52 takes the outside lane there in turns 3 and 4. We'll set up for lap number 3 here. Down around the inside lane. Peyton Howell, one of the best right now on the eNASCAR side. You come to the stripe here on lap number 3, looking for something better than a 15.921. It's a 15.910. It won't move him up, but it is faster. He'll stay 10th out of 18. And Alexander Rowe out of Glide, Oregon. The driver with in caps, no sponsors on the entry blank. A little bit too low there in turn number 2. We'll set up again here for lap number 2. Lap 2 going to be a 16.206, a little bit sour. That's only good enough for 18th out of 19 cars. To the stripe, lap number 3, it'll pick up a 16.024. Good enough for 14th, so moving up ahead of Scott Negus, Mark Sontag Jr., Julian Valadez, and Trevor Vaden. And here comes the 5-star bodies machine, the Chevrolet Camaro, out of DeGraff, Ohio. It's Carson Klingelhofer. We'll ride on board. While Carson qualifies, we'll grab driver number 71 this evening, Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp out of France. Not a location I expected on the entry blank. Alyssa, how you doing?
not. It's quite early.
We heard part of what you said there. Let's a little bit quiet. What was that?
It's quite early in the morning.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. What time is it for you locally?
Locally, it's 1:44. Back home, it's 2:44. So, honestly.
Well, we're glad you're joining us this weekend. What brings you to an event like this, especially, with the little bit of international flavor? Of course, seeing a driver from France in a short track event, not something you're used to seeing on the United States side. I know you guys have your oval communities and whatnot, but we're a little bit not used to seeing that. What brings you to this event?
I just love short track racing, and honestly, this is probably one of the bigger events that I've ever done on iRacing, and I saw it and was like, it's an opportunity to see what I can do.
Well, we see a spin there out of the Seymour, Indiana driver of Sean Schneider. Driver 26 goes for a bit of a spin. How hard is it to qualify these cars here? I mean, clearly we've had a couple of difficulties. Sean goes for a spin there. We saw Julian Valadez hit the wall earlier on tonight. How difficult is it to nail a lap time in this super late model here at Five Flags?
It depends. A lot of it's all based on throttle control. If you're trying to do the high line cut down to start your lap, it's quite easy on the exit to start sliding the tires. In fact, on my first lap, kind of had a bit of that. Sliding the tires out of 4, which sort of sets up your lap to not be as good. Although, I messed up my first lap in turn 3 instead of turn 1, so... if you want a second lap, you might want to try and cool down the tires, which is why I did a high line in lap 2 and laid it all on the line for lap 3.
And 3-lap qualifying here a little bit different for us as well. Usually across short tracks in America, you'll find 2-lap qualifying to be the option most of the time. Does this 3-lap qualifying give you guys any extra benefit? I mean, you have an opportunity on your out lap to set up for lap 1, then an opportunity on lap 2 to set up for lap 3. That's a little bit different.
Yeah, if you don't get lap 1 as correct as you want it to, say you mess up a corner, it's quite easy to just back off lap 3, run a second slower, cool the tires, just once again set up properly for lap 3, because hopefully by then the thermal build-up in the rear won't be as much, so you can plant the throttle a bit more to get a better run to the line.
With Kenny Troughton out of Ionia, Michigan, on the racetrack currently. We take a look at car number 25. We're got 70 on the racetrack anyway. But Alyssa, thank you so much for your time and your insight here as to what it's like to drive these cars around Five Flags Speedway. I know it's difficult. It's not an easy combo, so we appreciate your time and best of luck here this weekend.
Merci.
That's Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp out of France, chatting with us a little bit. You saw Kenny Troughton and one other car, Sean Schneider, go for their qualifying runs during that time. And we can also take a look at Waylon Nelson from KC Athletics in Andalusia, Alabama. Slipping up there through turns number 1 and 2. The Nelson Roofing Ford Fusion, a 16.434 on lap 1, grabs the wall here on lap number 2. Waylon is, he is fighting this car. Fighting demons in there, swatting flies. A 16.045 there on lap 2, and it will count. That's good for 15th spot. Lap number 3 for Waylon Nelson, a 16.025. It was looking like a 15 there for a second. That's good for 14th now, moving Alexander Rowe down 1 spot. And chatting with Alyssa, she sits in the 9th spot right now in qualifying, which is very impressive for a driver that maybe doesn't have the same experience that a lot of these guys do. And by experience, I mean a lot of these guys that run short tracks on iRacing also have some short track experience in the real world. I don't know what kind of avenues there are in France to go short track racing. I'd imagine there aren't many. So to have a driver that maybe has a little bit less real track experience, potentially none, versus some of these guys that have real track experience like Alex McCullum and Ryan Kuhn, and I think even Brendan Wilkinson potentially, to be sitting ninth in a field like this, very impressive for Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp. We're going to watch that story closely over the course of the weekend. Dylan Canova, hello, a 15.874 will bump into, what is that, the 8th position. It is going for more here out of Lakeland, Florida, Dylan Canova. A 15.966, that'll wrap up his qualifying run. That was a very, very strong lap. Larson Parker gonna hit the racetrack next from Thornton, Colorado. A bit of a winter theme there on the paint scheme, very much like what I'm seeing. Hayden Tufts Designs, Elite Performance Industries on the hood of that car. Lap number 1 for the driver out of Colorado. It's a 16.129. That's good for 18th spot. Lap 2 here for Parker. And now lap 3, actually. That was a 15.872 picks up. That's impressive. To pick up on the very last lap, that will bump Dylan Canova down 1 spot. Trevor Ward bumps down to 10th. Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp to 11th. Peyton Howell to 12th. Presley Soro bumps to 13th spot. And this now puts Morgan McDonald on the racetrack out of Antigonish. Antigonish? I'm going to go with Antigonish, Nova Scotia. That's a new town name for me. Drivers are joining the broadcast waiting rooms. We'll bring in one Riley Duncan here during this qualifying session. Riley, we saw you go for it there in the street stock race, a solid run until the tires fell off. Now in the super late model, 7th quick so far. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm pretty happy with my lap.
I would say so. To be in the top 10 right now has to feel good.
Oh yeah, I mean, I came in here not really expecting to do as good as I did, so I'm happy with it for sure.
Now, as these guys wrap up qualifying in the next 10 cars or so, what is something that we need to be watching for specifically as viewers and a broadcaster? What is necessary to watch for with these cars in this racetrack? I know it's a difficult combo.
Well, you gotta be, it's gonna be such a tight field, you gotta be perfect. I'm not sure you've watched the snowball in real life. Honestly, you gotta be right next to that wall in turn 1 and turn 2. And turn 4 is honestly, you gotta be pretty near perfect as well. It's gonna be a tight field.
Tanner Bethea out of Wetumpka, Alabama, on the racetrack currently. Now, I don't know how much experience you have around other drivers in this field, Riley, but this is a stacked field from high to low. We have some really good drivers, and one of them is sitting on the pole. I mean, how do you feel you're going to stack up against the competition here on the field?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's a long race. I've raced with Alex, and I've raced with a lot of the guys in here. But I've just came back after like a 2-year break, so we'll see where I stack up against them after a long run.
And what's your story on iRacing? You know, we spoke with a driver just recently from France who just loves to go short track racing here on the iRacing.com sim. Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp, she has a pretty solid spot so far in qualifying. You've got a pretty solid spot in qualifying so far. What's your story here on iRacing? What brings you to this event?
Well, I seen that it was posted on Facebook, and I'm always looking for the bigger races. I love these type of races. I try to join as many of them as I can. And I am on a controller too, so I feel like that's kind of a cool story.
Really? On a controller? What kind of controller?
This is an Xbox One.
Wow. Okay. Well, P7 then, even more impressive. Well, good to talk to you, Riley. We got some other drivers in the waiting room. Good to chat with you and find out a little more about you, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you. Have a good one.
That's Riley Duncan on a controller. That is impressive. Shout out here to Jay Nelson on the racetrack out of the 116 car out of Headland, Alabama. Grabs the wall there on the end of his run, but it's a 15.908 for driver 116. Let's grab Jacob Wilson now and speak with him. Driver 51, if I recall, the number 17 spot so far in qualifying. A little ways down the order here, Jacob. What are you looking for on Sunday when we go racing?
My goal is hopefully just to run all the laps and maybe sneak a good finish here. I don't have a whole lot of experience in these supers. I've done a lot of in late model stock, but I've got some good help with Peyton and Julian. They kind of encouraged me to run this race, so we'll see what we can come up with on Sunday. But goal tonight is make it in the field. Looks like we're gonna manage that, but so far so good.
Well, Sam White currently on the racetrack in 16th spot. That bumps you down one more. A little bit of work to do maybe then in the race on Sunday. And I'm glad that you were convinced to come run. Have you done any traffic management maybe with AI races just to learn kind of the feel of what it's like to be midfield at the start of one of these races?
Well, I ran the Winter Derby a few weeks ago, and I was running pretty good. I was in a split with Luke Baldwin and some of those guys, and I'd gotten up to third with like 3 to go, and ended up getting dumped on the last lap. So
oh, man.
I feel like we'll be okay. You know, I'm pretty good at taking care of my stuff and staying out of the trouble, and so that'll kind of be the goal. And we'll get what we get today.
Jacob Harbert's out of Titusville, Florida now on the racetrack. Well, it's good to talk to you, Jacob, learn a little bit more about you. I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked the last two people. What brings you to this event in particular?
You know, it's kind of a higher caliber field than I usually race with, and, you know, just looking for some more experience. You can't get faster unless you're racing against faster people, so that's kind of the goal.
Fair enough. Very true. Well, best of luck this evening. And, well, I guess this evening still is happening, but best of luck this weekend here. And hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. That's
Jacob Wilson, currently in the 19th spot because he's been bumped down one by Jacob Harberts, who very nearly goes faster than Blake Thronberg. Lap 2. Oh, it's consistent. That was actually lap 3, I think, for Jacob Harberts, and yes, that was lap 3, so Harberts' run is done. Out of Titusville, Florida, from Matt Julis's Speed Shop, P2, one of the other best drivers to do it in a super late model on iRacing. Very impressive qualifying run there for Harberts. Wesley Lynch now up next out of Vail, North Carolina. We'll grab one or two more drivers before the end of qualifying here. Let's grab Jay Nelson this evening out of the 116. Jay, it was a lot of fun to watch you in the street stock race earlier. How are you doing this evening?
Good. How y'all doing?
Absolutely fantastic. How do you feel with this car? How do you feel with this car track combo?
The track is decent. A little bit tighter than what I want it to be, but we're in the show, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, looking through, you're 14th right now, so sitting pretty top half of the field for sure, at least at the moment. So feeling pretty good then about Sunday?
Yeah, I think we'll make some adjustments and we'll be up there.
When you say make adjustments, you don't have to give us the exact details, the exact clicks you're going to make in the setup, but what kind of things are you looking to change? What kind of things are you going to be working on?
Just more like air pressure, really.
There you go. Simple, right to the point. Well, what brings you to this event? Well, what's something we should know about Jay Nelson?
Well, actually, my cousin Waylon Nelson, hats off to him. He made all my schemes, the street stock. He made the late model stock. That'll be here tomorrow. And the super late model. It all looks good, so hats off to him, and he's the one that brought me here. So,
heck of a save right there by Kyle Ricketts out of West Lafayette, Indiana. And, you know, I noticed the two Nelson last names. I wasn't sure if there was relation or not. I think you guys are both out of Alabama as well. Is that right?
Yeah, yep.
I was going to say, I thought there might be some relation there as the night went on, but you know what? It's good to hear from you. Best of luck this weekend. Hopefully we're talking again soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
That's Jay Nelson, cousin to Waylon Nelson. Kyle Ricketts will stay down the order, 31st so far in qualifying, as his first hour of this qualifying session, I guess first 40 minutes, comes to a close. Drivers, there's still a little bit of time to come and chat with us here briefly. We can get one or two more before the session's done. That will be it for Kyle Ricketts, though. Next up, Grant Thompson in car 54 out of Mobile, Alabama. A very strong Alabama presence here in this race, I gotta say. A lot of Alabama entrants. Let's go on board. Lap 1 for Grant Thompson, 22nd quick. That's good to put him in the show. I believe we're going to lock in 30 tonight and run an LCQ for 6 more. 15.994, going to move up a little bit. 18th quick now, faster than Thurlow, Wilson, Lynch, and Nelson. Grant Thompson looking for a little bit more here on lap number 3 to the stripe. It's a 15.986, a little bit faster, but won't move up in the order any. We've spoken with Jay Nelson. Now let's grab Waylon Nelson, also out of Alabama, cousin to Jay. How are you doing this evening, Waylon?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Mike Ashby out of Mayodan, North Carolina, going to hit the racetrack now. But Waylon, right now you're sitting 22nd. You're in the show as things look for the time being. How does that feel?
Feels pretty good. The track felt good. Car felt good. Yeah, I'm with Jay. We're going to make a few adjustments. Me and him are running close to the same setup, so we're both going to make adjustments and try to get up further in the pack.
His answer to the question of what changes are you going to make was tire pressures. I'm going to ask you the same question without going into too many specifics. You don't have to if you don't want to, but what kind of things are you looking to change?
Yeah, probably just air pressure, maybe a little bit of spring adjustment, just to get the car to settle a little bit better, because it was loose getting in. It was good coming off, but we're going to try to get it set off in the corner so we can corner better than a lot of these guys.
A crash there out of Jeremy Ashby will keep Jeremy out of the feature so far. He'll have to go through the LCQ, and that is not what he wanted, and that was actually the final car to go qualifying. It's just a spotter and the admin left. Well, it looks like you're squarely in the show then, Waylon. Good to talk to you. Good to meet you. Hopefully we're talking again this weekend.
Yes, sir.
That's Waylon Nelson. Waylon Nelson the second, it looks like, as well. But that will do it for us. Alex McCullum on pole. Jacob Harber's second spot. That is it for qualifying. And that means we have a field. So if we go down through your order here, we're going to wait on Alex McCullum if he decides to join us for an interview. But let's go through the field after qualifying. With Alex McCullum on top in car number 1, Jacob Harbert second place by 67 one-thousandths of a second. Very close up front. Blake Thronberg one more 1,000th of a second back, even closer there. Ryan Kuhn, another 100th of a second back. Your top 4 super close. Your top 5 all within a 10th. Brandon Wilkinson, 5th place. Chase Pierce, Chubb Shockley, Riley Duncan, Larson Parker, and Dylan Canova will complete your top 10. Qualifying 11th and 12th tied at 1.7 tenths, if you will. 0.17, we'll say. 0.17 of a second off of pole will be Trevor Ward and Tanner Bethea. Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp will qualify 0.18 off the pole. And it'll be Jay Nelson and Peyton Howell to complete your top 15. Presley Sora, Sam White, Grant Thompson, Greg Thurlow, and Jacob Wilson are all on the show. They're all within 0.3 of pole time. Wesley Lynch also within that 0.3 of pole time. They're in 21st. Waylon Nelson, the first car outside of 0.3 from the pole. Alexander Rowe there in 23rd spot, Scott Negus in 24th, then Mark Sontag in 25th. Julian Valadez recovers from that near spin into turn 1, qualifies 26th, will make the show. Kenny Troughton 27th, Trevor Vaden, Sean Schneider, and Morgan McDonald all will make the show in the top 30 this evening. Solid qualifying efforts all around. And then you have your drivers looking for more. Basically, if you're within a half second of pole time, you are in the show. If you're without or outside of a half second of pole time, you are out of the show and have to go through the LCQ. It's Carson Klinkelhofer, Kyle Ricketts, Mike Ashby, or I guess Jeremy Ashby, and Zach Maroney, the 4 drivers who do not qualify straight into the show this evening. We'll bring in Alex McCullum, pole winner this evening. We're used to talking to you, Alex. I don't know how you do it in these late models. Every time it seems like we're going to be talking to driver number 1 at the end of the day. This time for qualifying, we talked with a few drivers, asked about how hard it was to nail down a lap time in the Super here at Five Flags. How hard is it, Alex? Well, I might have stepped away actually for a second. Alex, do you have us?
Yeah, I had to set a push talk button.
Oh, well, glad we got you now. So I'll answer the question again. How hard is it to run a smooth qualifying lap here at Pensacola in a super late model car?
It's pretty tricky. The track's very technical. It's very easy to overdrive it, underdrive it, and if you don't hit your marks right, you could be half a tenth to a tenth off. I mean, if you can hit a pretty good lap, you'll put a good lap down. But if you miss it slightly, you'll be a little bit off.
And we saw a few drivers miss it pretty large. A few drivers miss it by just an inch. Jacob Harbert's one of those drivers that miss you by just an inch, just off of you. Is that concerning at all for the start of the race to have Harbert so close to you at the start? Then you've got Blake Thronberg 3rd, Ryan Kuhn 4th. I mean, all these guys on your tail to start the race.
I mean, it's always concerning when those guys are close to you. They always have really good speed, especially in qualifying, and then race are pretty good. But I'm just gonna do my own thing Sunday, and whatever happens, happens. We were pretty good here in the fall brawl at Sarah, so probably gotta run some close to that, change it up a little bit, because I know those guys were working pretty good on the Winter Derby and some other races. So I'm a little behind the ball game right now. It's gonna turn some wrenches and get it better.
And I'm pretty sure my mind is working right here that you were the winner of the fall brawl, right, this year?
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you went to victory lane in that race. So you already have a leg up on these guys, I'd say, at Five Flags. So I guess missing the Winter Derby, is that you missed the Winter Derby entirely?
Yeah, I wasn't around that week to run it. So those guys, I don't know if anybody in here ran it, but I think a few have. But we'll see. You've got 300 laps. It's going to be a long race.
A long race for sure. You won a 250 lapper the fall brawl here for the Sim Auto Racing Association 1-8 Racing Media National Tour just a few weeks ago. That was November 21st or so. Now here in December, you're trying to defend that and go to victory lane in the Sunshine Derby. Best of luck, Alex. It's good. It's so good to talk to you as always, and we'll be watching for car number 1 on race day.
Thank you.
That's Alex McCullum with the pole time in the Sunshine Derby, and the poll this week brought to you by, I'm gonna find it, the poll award brought to you by MTM Fabrication, 815-302-0389, where you can find more information about MTM Fabrication. Give them a call and find out what they can do for you. They are the poll award presenting partner here for the Sunshine Derby 300. One more time, a big thank you to all the partners who make this event possible. The Sunshine Derby here in 2024 brought to you by Club Racing Incorporated. I want to give a big shout out to Club Racing Incorporated and Alex Clubb and his Arkham Menard Series efforts in his career here in racing. Also a shout out to Dammit Dimit Racing Videos. A shout out to KC Athletics, Goodacre Photography, Caden Tufts Designs, and MTM Fabrication. that will do it for us this evening in Street Stock Racing and Super Late Model Qualifying. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. It has been a pleasure as always. A thank you to our partners here at Pitstop TV, Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design. And a big thank you as well to Ethan Wolf for making this event possible. Here's a look at where we are racing next here on Pitstop TV tomorrow night. We've got the Moonlight Derby 100 and Super Late Model LCQ. We've got the full late model stock program tomorrow at 4:30, and we've also got that Super Late Model Last Chance race a little bit later on mixed within the sessions. They're going to be a lot of fun to cover all of the action tomorrow night. It all gets kicked off at 4:30 Eastern. Then Sunday we go racing in the Sunshine Derby 300 at 1:45. Tuesday, we go to Bristol Motor Speedway. We keep it in the short track world, and we go racing at Bristol for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. It's their Christmas race. A bunch of Secret Santa themed paint schemes on track. Should be a lot of fun before they hit their holiday break. That'll do it for us this evening from Pitstop TV. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you all next time here on the channel, hopefully tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, for the late model stock and super late model LCQ portion of the Sunshine Derby. We'll see you there.